This episode of FlyteCamp is sponsored by Kaiser Compressors, built for a lifetime. This great little 1964 Avion behind me is a really special trailer. The clients had it for quite a while, they've used it a lot, and they absolutely love it. When you talk to them, you can, even over the phone, you can hear the excitement in their voice getting this restored and able to use. So that always means a lot to me, and especially that they trusted us with it. They don't want to change everything in it. They want to keep it as original as possible, keep as many of the components as we possibly can, but make it safe, make it towable, make the electrical safe.
So the Avion appeared to be a super amazing original trailer in great condition. However, the owners knew that there was some damage to the frame, and when we were able to access the frame itself, lift the flooring and lift the body of the trailer, we could definitely see that a lot of those stringers and different portions of the steel frame had rotted away. And so we needed to go in there and reinforce that frame, repair all the damage, get it repowder coated, and then we now had a solid platform that we could lower the body back onto.
Hi, Dan. How you doing? The plan is to move this over to the other side, and then we'll get the body hung up on it and everything too, but we got a little bit.
Yeah, when they first brought the Avion in, they didn't want a total restoration. They just wanted to shell off original stuff put back in it, which is really hard. So in the process of taking it apart, we found a few things wrong. Frame was a little bit rusted. A few things were bad up inside there. All the seams inside has been leaking over the years.
This is our Avion project. This one here obviously is a body off. Dan's been working really hard to get this thing torn down, re-secured safely, fixing all the frame. We got new subfloor on it, and right now he's reattaching the belly pan, and today this should be dropping back on the subfloor and make it a trailer again.
A lot of times when we take a trailer down to this point where you separate the two pieces, the chassis from the shell itself, things move around. Going down the road for a lot of years, things have twisted and turned, damage has happened to the frame, rust and rot has happened, and so you get sagging from the weight of the cabinetry in the inside, and this one is not an exception by any means. When we took the shell off to reconstruct the frame or to shore up the frame and fix the outriggers that were rotten from the belly pan area holding condensation and moisture, things moved and tweaked and changed a little bit.
Pain in the ass. It's not gonna fit. We'll see. Professionals.
So now marrying the two back up is a little bit of a challenge. You got to pull here and tug there and put a pry bar in there and see if you can't slip that shell over a brand new frame that was one shape when we took it off and now is a completely different shape going back on.
The shell was rotted on the inside. So all the skins were rotted on the inside all the way around the floor. The floor was in really bad shape. The frame was rusted really bad. We had to cut a couple of sections out of it, put new pipe, new framing in it. So when you do all that, it kind of changes all the geometry of everything when you try and put it back together. So when we tried to put the skin back on, the shell, the floor was actually just a little bit too short because everything had been so stretched out of proportion being rotten before. So when we put the skin on, everything was kind of off a little bit. So we had to get in there, and because the belly pan goes up and the skin goes over the belly pan. So in order to get that belly pan up there on just right, you got to leave enough room for the skin, otherwise your skin won't fit on top of there and you have to cut your floor pan back out of the floor, wood. So we didn't want to do that, so I cut it just a little bit shy, so when it clicks on there, it folds right over it and sits on, you can rivet it on there. Well, when I got to the corners, it started to wrinkle up quite a bit, so we had to get in there and shrink metal a little bit just to get it to fit around the corner. But as you can see, it all turned out pretty good. The seams all look really good. It's all nice on just like it was when it came out of the factory. But it was an extra extra few hours of work to do that, to make it just right. But it turned out good. I think it'll work.
It is on there now. It took a little wrestling. I'll take a little wrestling. Actually went on easier than I thought it would.
Yeah, no kidding.
Sometimes it's
It's usually
real
a couple
pain.
hour ordeal. Yeah.
So we're checking in today with Dave on the 1964 Avion. Really cool little trailer, great size, it's like 18 feet. And you know, this one was in really good original condition, but the client wanted all the systems redone. They were a little scared of the electrical in there, and the plumbing was pretty shot. So, like most of our projects, it just grew and grew and grew. We ended up actually taking everything out of the whole thing, taking all the panels out, lifting the body off of this trailer, addressing the frame, subfloor, and then dropping the body back on. And now we're ready for electrical, insulation, and the panels to go back in so we can reassemble the interior with the original components. So great little trailer. You don't see a lot of the Avions of this year and of this size. And it's kind of a cool trailer to see and to get a chance to work on. So we're going to go in and check in on Dave and see how the electrical's going. Hey Dave, looking good in here.
Thank you, Justin.
Looking really good, man. So we're kind of at the point right now where we could call for insulation, get the panels cleaned up, figure out whether or not we're going to repaint them with automotive or house or whatever, and start getting ready to get panels back in here. So all the wiring is finished and ran in here?
I'm going to run a pump wire,
Okay.
and he says there's a carbon monoxide detector, so I'm going to run a wire for that.
Okay.
They're both going to be 12 volts.
Okay. So we've got a 110 side on the lights, a 110 side on the outlets, a 12 volt side on the lights. We've got a 12 volt USB side that we're adding. We've got a pump line, and we've got a hot water heater switch line, and we've also got 12 volt and 110 designated for a refrigerator as well.
Correct.
Okay, the last line we had, I think that you and I determined we needed was just the 110 fan feed. That's one in the bathroom and one in the kitchen area too.
I see you took care of that.
Yeah, all taken care of. So you're just kind of labeling stuff right now, getting stuff taped up, and then what I'll do is I'll call for insulation. They'll come in and bag it, and then we can get panels in and get moving on interior components going back in. Yeah, so I think we're moving along good on this. Now, I was going to kind of tell you, you had asked me earlier, as far as the wiring goes, why we always use stranded wire versus like Romex wire. And I was going to tell you, just so you know in the future, the reason we do that is because a stranded wire can move with the trailer. So all these trailers, you know as well as I do from doing this, that everything flexes and you go down the road and things are rattling and everything. So if you've got Romex that comes in and hits an outlet and it's a hard point and the trailer's moving and it's going like that, then you're going to get a brittle break in the line with Romex. And so then if you don't have that proper, you know, connection, then you get heat, which smolders, gets warm behind the wall. So with a braided line, it flexes and moves with the trailer as it moves down the road. And we go one step further and use the SJO cord, which is rated for outdoor use. The casing on it is actually a weatherproof casing on it. So, you know, I think from all the years of doing vintage trailers and yarding out all that old wiring and seeing smoldering marks behind it, this is kind of a better route to go because it works a lot better with the movement of the trailer.
Technology.
Exactly, there you go. We're always trying to improve, you know, always trying to make things a little bit better, especially when we've learned from, you know, mistakes that were made, you know, years ago, or learned from, you know, situations that have happened. If we can prevent, you know, a safety issue from happening, you know, down the road, then we definitely want to go that extra step and do that. So this looks amazing though. Everything's labeled good. We got an AC feed. I noticed, I didn't even know we were putting an AC unit in here, and I just looked at the book. We got that, and so this project is moving right along. At this point, once we get insulation in and get the panels back in, we can reassemble this thing and get these guys on the road.
Yeah, we had to do the inside panels. All the inside panels were rotting at the floor where the water had been leaking, so we had to replace all the inside panels. That's kind of tricky because trying to fit all that curved paneling up in there is a little difficult. So we did all that, and it was kind of hard because they wanted a certain color, and the color they picked was like, it was like glue. It was a pale white that sucked all the dirt off your hands if you touch it. You rub up against it, it would rub all the dirt off your clothes. It was just a real pain. But we got it up in there, a little bit of powder coating, had to do a backsplash powder coating over the countertop in the cook area. Had to change a few colors here and there. Put new appliances, new fridge, new stove, new faucets, pretty much new everything. Had an on-demand water heater. Took out the old tub water heater, it was junk. Brand new toilet, brand new flooring. It turned out pretty good. I was actually impressed with it. Putting the interior in was a little tricky because it's all the old stuff. I had to replace a couple of little pieces here and there that had become delaminated over time for water damage, things like that. But we got it in there, fixed all the stuff, put new, like brand new LED puck lights, new lighting, new paint, new floor, rebuilt the shower in the tub area. It turned out pretty good. I was actually impressed with it. My name's Dan Griffith. I've been working here for almost a year now. Been doing this 3 or 4 years. Pretty familiar with the whole situation, done quite a few of these. And this one here, this one's kind of tricky. It didn't come with a water tank, but we got to put one in. Got to find out and figure out how to plumb it, MacGyver plumb it. They didn't make this model to hold a tank, but we got to make it have a tank in it anyway. So what I'm doing, building a rack underneath for it. Got to plumb the shower and the tub into the top, come out the bottom. On this side with a dump valve for the sewer and the black tank. So right now I'm trying to figure out how to build a holding rack and a cover, a metal cover for it. Taking measurements, doing a few things here and there, trying to finagle it in there. They called us and said they wanted to have a holding tank in it because they didn't have one in before. It should have been done before the belly pan was put on, but everything happens at the last minute usually anyway, so this is what we do best. We manufacture and fabricate everything up in here that's got to go, and even if you can't, you got to do it anyway. So I had to go in there and did all that. It was quite a few hours of fabricating and bending metal and cutting holes and drilling and riveting. I'm having to hit the cross rails, and there's only so many in here, so I'm having to move the tank back and forth to figure out where's the best spot so I can hit a cross rail and hold the tank up in here with my brackets. So it's hard because there's a frame rail here, but there's not one here. So I'm gonna have to put another cross member here to hold the straps to hold the tank up. And then from there, you gotta build that big cover. The cover's gotta go clear out to here, clear out to here to cover all of this. So that's the big part, because I had plumbed it before they changed the whole schematic. I'd already had it plumbed to where it would come out here into the drop valve, the dump valve. But now all this has got to go away. The dump valve's still going to be here, but this is going to be gone. This has got to get covered up. All this has got to get patched up, and the tank's got to go in here covered. So it should look pretty good when I'm done, but we'll see. We will see. I think I can do it. A little bit of time, a little bit of fabrication, a little bit of manipulation, but I think overall it should work. It should fit, should be out of the way, should be just about the same height as the axle, so whatever the axle hits, it should hit. So if I have to, I'll put a couple of scrubbers here to keep the tank from, piece of metal here to keep the tank from hitting. It'll hit the bumpers before it hits the tank shroud. But that's my plan. I'm not real sure if it's gonna work, but I think it will. Well, when we first started out and took it apart, the customer wanted us to raise the tub up, because the tub, over the years when they make them tubs, they put like a filler underneath them because the fiberglass kind of bubbles up a little bit. So the filler had deteriorated and just disintegrated, and now the floor was like this in the shower, in the tub itself, tub shower area. So we had to take everything out, of course, to do the whole, restoration and floor pan and everything to it. And when we took it out, we put fiberglass matting underneath of it, which was really hard, and it made up for that space. So when we put it back in there, the hard part was having to make up for the space that you put in the bottom of the tub, the floor area. So everything had to be raised a ½ inch. It was a little difficult. When you put a tank in and you want plumbing to work right, you got to make one side of the tank ½ inch lower than the other so the water will flow. So in order to do that, I had to raise the one side of the tank and lower the other side of the tank, but it worked out pretty good. I tested it the other day, it worked out good, everything drains, everything flows. So far so good. Hopefully the customer's happy with it. Yeah, I got to meet the owner. The wife had, of course, gives you a big old hug and thank you. And I guess she'd been talking about it at work for the past 6 months, so everybody was waiting to see it when it got back. So, her husband, real nice guy, gave me a big handshake and a thank you and said it looked really good. And they were real impressed. They walked around and going ooh ah, and it was really quite the experience seeing people gratified with what we've done for them, and they were pretty happy. Yeah, you get a lot of self-satisfaction. I mean, when people come in and they go, oh wow, look what you did, oh my God, thank you, and everybody's real happy. They always like you, they're your best friend and they want to be your buddy, and it's really a good gratifying experience to watch people come into the looking at their trailer and saying, oh my God, but it's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. Well, all my life I've been pretty much into restoration, mechanicking, MacGyver, just anything specialty that takes a lot of patience. That's what I like to do. I got into this business just kind of off the fly. I've been a chrome plater for 30 years, and a friend of mine was working at a trailer place, and the chrome business went out of business, so I kind of went over there, went to work for them, and then it just sprung up from there. It was like 5 years ago, and I've just been cruising ever since, having a blast. I love what I do. I love this kind of work. It's my thing.
So our clients picked the trailer up late in the evening, and we got to spend a little bit of time with them. We didn't get to spend as much as we typically like to because they had to get back up on the road, but they were blown away. It was exactly what they wanted, and that makes me so happy. We were able to take their wish list and execute it and convey exactly what they wanted done to the trailer in the appearance of the trailer. Dan did an amazing job of keeping, the originality that they wanted, but also upgrading all the systems and making it safe and making it function well. They just kept saying over and over, they couldn't believe how well it was done as far as marrying the two, the old and the new. And that's a tricky thing, when we take it to that point, we tend to start rebuilding because, you think, well, it's down to this point, why don't we just replicate everything? And so marrying up an old piece and a new piece and keeping the colors right and keeping that patina and that life of the trailer can be a really tough thing, but Dan did a great job and they absolutely love it.